The sun had barely risen, and I was already facing my first unwelcome guest of the day. The sound of a knock on my door echoed through my quiet suburban home. But it wasn't the usual morning mailman or a neighbor asking for sugar. No, this time it was Karen Henderson, self-appointed ruler of the Pinegrove Estates HOA, standing on my doorstep, clipboard in hand, wearing that condescending smile she thought was charming. "Good morning, Mr. Davis," she chirped, but there was nothing warm about her voice. "We need to talk about your lifestyle choices." I raised an eyebrow. "My lifestyle choices?" "Your fence," she said, pointing to the new wooden fence I had just installed last weekend. "It's too high. Doesn't meet the community standards." I stared at her, incredulous. "Karen, my fence is perfectly legal." She waved me off like I was a child who didn't know any better. "Oh, it's legal in the sense that you've technically followed the letter of the law, but not the spirit. You're disrupting the flow of the community, and I'm afraid this will lead to a fine." I was used to Karen's nonsense by now. She'd been using the HOA as her personal weapon for years, fining neighbors for the most ridiculous things. A cracked mailbox, a slightly misplaced lawn gnome, and even a tree that was too untamed for her liking. It was her favorite hobby, meddling in other people's lives. But this time, I was done playing nice. "Karen, you've been a thorn in my side since I moved here," I said calmly, a smile creeping onto my face. "But I think it's time to fix that." Her expression faltered. "What do you mean by that?" "Oh, nothing. Just thought I'd let you know I've been thinking of making a small investment." Her eyes narrowed. "What kind of investment?" I leaned in, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Well, I've decided to buy the whole HOA." She blinked, clearly not understanding what I meant. "What? You can't just—" "Actually, I can," I said, cutting her off. "I've got enough capital to purchase the entire HOA, the rules, the regulations, the fines, and most importantly, you." Her face turned white as a ghost. "You're joking." "Not in the slightest," I said, pulling out my phone and showing her the email I had just received. It was a formal offer to buy the HOA's controlling shares, signed by a legal representative of the board. "I've already made the offer." "You've been voted out as president, Karen. It's over." Karen was speechless. For the first time in the 2 years I had been living here, she was rendered utterly speechless. You can't do that," she stammered. "You don't know what you're getting into. You can't just buy this place and expect things to change." I shook my head. "You've been running this place like a dictatorship, Karen, using fines as your personal form of power. But now I own it. And you know what? The first rule I'm putting into place is this. No more fines for things like high fences, wrong mailbox colors, or disruptive tree branches. And guess what? You're no longer in charge." She looked like she had been slapped. "But you can't just take away my power like that." "Oh, I can," I said, crossing my arms. "And I will. You've made this neighborhood your playground, but it's time for someone who actually cares about the people, living here to run things." Just then, my phone buzzed. I smiled as I saw the message from my lawyer. "The deal's done. You now own the HOA." Karen's face twisted in shock and rage. You can't do this!" "The board will never agree to—" "The board's already agreed," I interrupted. "I've already spoken to them. They're all on my side now. You've pushed them too far. The new rules? Well, they're going to make this place a lot more friendly." Her lips trembled, and for a second I almost felt bad for her. But then I remembered the countless neighbors she'd bullied, the fines she'd raked in, and the constant stream of complaints she'd caused. And I knew I had made the right decision. "Goodbye, Karen," I said, giving her a final, satisfied look. "You'll get your notice soon. Don't worry, you'll have plenty of time to pack up your things." With that, she turned on her heel and marched off my porch. But not before throwing one last, venomous look over her shoulder. And as I watched her retreat, I couldn't help but smile. The power had shifted. Pinegrove Estates was no longer under the thumb of a tyrant. From that moment on, I was the one calling the shots. The fence? It stayed exactly where it was. As for Karen, well, she could find another neighborhood to terrorize. But not here. Not